The days are coming when men will go mad. And when they meet a man who has actually kept his senses, they will rise up against him saying, "You are mad because you are not like us." St. Anthony the Abbot. This popped into my head last night, and I could not think of a better phrase to describe what we are going through right now in this country. There is something happening where people are losing sight of what is rational, what is reasonable, and just basic common sense, all in the name of feelings and emotions. If something feels right, it is right. If something feels wrong, it is wrong. It's not always the case. But real quick, we talk about this over the Florida Maquis Patreon channel. There's something that Donald Trump has just done, executive order-wise, that I think when you stop and take a breath and look at it, you're going to wonder what he was thinking, or if he was thinking at all, and it wasn't just about emotions. That's what we talk about over the Florida Maquis Patreon channel, thought versus emotion. That's how the root of psychological operations takes hold. The first thing you have to do when you're running a psyop on somebody is you have to make sure that they are in an emotional state first, before you do anything. If they're still in command of their senses and their mind, it'll be a fool's errand. Now, real quick, we have one more video to do before the cycle resets. Brigade commanders, I have not forgotten about you. I know normally we do a two-part video. We did the first part for the unit and brigade commanders a couple days ago. This next part of that video is very, very complicated, and I want to make sure that I get it right. And I also want to make sure the information is prescient and something that you can use. If you'd like to join us over there, $1 per month, even less if you sign up for an entire year, fully refundable, first 90 days, no questions asked. Let's get right to it, where riches hold the dominion of the heart. Read emotions. God has lost his authority. Where the emotions associated with the gaining of gold hold the dominion over your thought life, your heart, God has lost all of his authority. And this is what's driving America right now. There's a bunch of people over on the left right now who aren't so happy with Donald Trump being president, saying, when are prices going to come down? When are prices going to come down? And there's a whole bunch of people now on the right who are very happy about Donald Trump being president that are saying that, well, it was so messed up. The money will come. We just have to wait. But wait a minute. If this were the case, why would Donald Trump have done this? Donald Trump has revoked the Executive Order 11246. In the order from back in 1965, Lyndon Baines Johnson, the contractor, it's basically the idea of non-discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, or national origin. Basically, you can't use any of those criterion to refuse somebody a job. Now, the opposite, however, is a bit more murky. Can you use those things to hire them? You see, people look at this in the negative and say, well, you can't refuse a job because somebody's a different race. You can't refuse a job because somebody's a different sex. But can you use that as a positive affirmation to hire them preferentially? Don't think so? Costco. Costco has decided, and they are a publicly traded company. They have shareholders. So they put it to their shareholders about this whole DEI thing, right? So they put it to a vote. The people who have the money invested, the people who have the money to lose in Costco, all got together. They had a vote, and 98% to 2 said, we want to keep DEI. Now, Costco's a private, well, I mean, in the sense of it's not a government business, but it's a publicly traded company. This is what they've decided they think will be best for what? For America? For, people of, no. They think it's going to be best for their bottom line. Now, hold that in your mind for a minute. Some Walmart managers get pay bump. pushing compensation over $600,000 a year. Okay, so this is what Walmart has decided. That it's going to raise the pay of people, even though there's all sorts of folks out there hurting to be able to afford groceries. And, a lot of Walmarts you walk into don't look like they're, really all that well maintained. You're like, couldn't they have instead of doing that, couldn't they have lowered prices? Well, Walmart made the decision based on what they thought was best for their bottom line. So you don't have to agree with Costco, or you don't have to agree with Walmart. And I'm sure a lot, Florida Makiba, what does this have to do with discrimination? These are just two articles that show businesses do things not because that service is important to you, not because you need that service, Costco or Walmart. They do what's best for their bottom line. Now, Fox News, way back in the 90s, decided to hire a bunch of individuals based on their gender. Not because they were trying to create some kind of DEI type atmosphere. Fox News decided to say, you know what we're going to do? Here's how we're going to capture market share. We're going to find the most beautiful girls in the world, pageant girls. I mean, absolutely smoking hot, beautiful girls. We're going to dress them up in brightly colored, super tight, super short, super low cut dresses. And then we're going to have them read the news. Now, the folks that were all for hiring, whether it was women or whether it was minorities or whether it was whatever gender issues, whatever, they didn't see this right away because they couldn't say because they were hiring them affirmatively because of gender as opposed to discriminating based on gender. They couldn't say anything about it right away because they knew men weren't going to stand up and say, hey, I was discriminated against at Fox News because they wanted to put a hottie on camera. They knew men weren't going to say that because men could never complain. Men could never complain. You see, CNN even tried this, but they only went, half-assed at it. But they got in the game too late, and then by that time, other forces decided to take hold at CNN, and they lost. That's why they lose miserably in the ratings. Even after the lawsuits that hit what's-his-name at Fox News, and they had to pay out millions and millions and millions of dollars because of what was going on behind the scenes. Now, it's a form of discrimination, is it not, based on the desire for money? These girls make a hell of a lot more than $600,000 a year. So what's more important, Walmart or hotties on Fox News? Well, in reality, anybody with any good sense would say, well, we should probably have groceries that are affordable for most people. We should probably have that. Regardless of who's employed, regardless of the color of their hair, or whether they think they're a man or a woman, or whatever, we should have affordable groceries, and we should be doing things as a country to make that be a priority. But wait a minute. When you say that, that's one more step towards socialism. When you start saying money isn't the most important thing. I've got even a better, more personal example. See this truck? This is what I did before I was a YouTuber. I drove one of these VATCon trucks. It's a very complicated piece of machinery, and it is vital. It is absolutely critical that we have people who operate these on a regular basis for there to be civilization as we know it. Because mark my words, if the sewers aren't maintained in this country, it'll take a week. It'll take a week for society to start to break down. By the end of a month, it will be Armageddon. It'll make Mad Max look like a child's nursery rhyme. That's how bad it will be. Now, do these guys make $1 million a year, $2 million a year? They're super vital to the very existence of civilization. Don't think so? Don't think so? Go ask. These trucks, for those of you who don't know, maintain the sanitary sewer and the storm drains in this country. Especially in the case of the sanitary sewer, where there's block-ups, where there's problems, where there's things that... If you don't have people who are willing to crawl into sewers and operate these trucks, and believe me, you've got to be more than just some random Joe. There's pneumatics, there's hydraulics, you have to have a CDL to drive the truck because of the weight. You have to know a whole lot of different things, and you've got to be physically in shape too, because it's a fairly physically strenuous job. It's not something that a lot of guys coming out of high school, much less women, are thinking, you know what, this is what I want to do for a living. Why? Because it doesn't make a lot of money. Now, the reason that I took this job was because it's one of the CDL jobs, few, that you can have, that you'll be home every night. And I lived kind of in a more rural area of Florida at that time, and gas was very, very high. This was years and years ago. And instead of having to drive an hour to a job, I could drive 10 minutes. There was a place that I was 10 minutes away. So when you added in the fact that I could be home every night, and there was a very critical reason I had to be home every night, this made sense. I had a CDL. This is the job I took. Now, they don't make anywhere near $600,000 a year. At that time, it wasn't even $20 an hour. Even though you had to have a working knowledge of how all this stuff worked, and believe me, it's complicated. In fact, I'm going to leave you links to a couple of videos where they talk about how this is done. You would think this would be more important, wouldn't you? A rational, sane person would say, you know what? Maintaining civilization as we know it is probably more important than keeping the hotties at Fox News in seven figures. Isn't it? But is that what we're doing as a country? No. Why? Money. Mystery Babylon. Mammon, the demon lord of wealth and abundance. The demon of commerce and financial prosperity. Demon that understands all things concerning money. And where riches hold the dominion of the heart, God has lost his authority, and people go mad. People go mad. They lose their minds. And when they meet somebody who's kept his rational sense, they rise up against him, like they have me at this channel, saying, you're mad because you're not like us. So prove me wrong. Prove me wrong that in this country now, money is the most important thing. And while negative discrimination has now been gotten rid of with the revoking this executive order, now it doesn't necessarily matter, does it? Because you can say, you know what? I mean, I'll just be very honest with you. Would you look at the channels here on YouTube? Believe me, if there are girls out there, it doesn't matter what they're talking about. It doesn't matter what the subject matter is of their YouTube channel. If they get on their YouTube channel, turn the camera around, point it at them, and they look and are dressed like this, I guarantee the free market will take over. The free market will take over. They'll get a lot more subscribers. They'll get a lot more viewers. They'll get a lot more shares, a lot more likes, a lot more comments. And they will then, by, virtue of all of those things, make a lot more money than anyone like me will. Now, is that right? Is that fair? It's just what life is. But saying that this changes anything now, it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, imagine if you were working for somebody who only hired based on this. Only hired based on that now. I mean, Hooters has been doing it for years, haven't they? I guess. You have a bunch of guys getting off work and they want beer and chicken wings. Heck, well, why not give them a show as well? But mark my words. Mark my words, when these guys, the people that own these trucks, the guys that run these businesses, they start running out of people who are willing and able, You watch how bad it gets, how fast. You watch how bad it gets, how fast, and people look around like, well, there's got to be somebody. Yeah, there were. There were millions of people here that would have been willing to do this job for very low pay. But it is what it is, I guess. So, once again, I guess I'll leave it there. Welcome to Babylon. Welcome to Babylon. We have arrived. I'll read it again. The days are coming when men will go mad, and they will meet a man who has kept his senses. They will rise up against him, saying, you're mad because you're not like us. Brigade commanders, stay tuned. We'll have a brand new video up very, very soon over at the Patreon channel. It'll be part 2. I'm just making sure that I get it exactly right. You know, we're at a very, very high level over there at the max level, and I want to make sure that the content of those videos is not surpassed anywhere else. So I will leave it there. God bless. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe. See you guys next time.